We're going to do a little upgrade on the Mercedes. We're going to go from an ashtray like this to a speaker like this. And I'll show you what I did to do it. So unfortunately my door panel removal video was corrupt when I pulled it from the camera. So I'm redoing it after the fact. So to remove the rear door panel on a 300D, 300TD, it's fairly simple. Of course the train would come now. But you're going to unscrew your door lock. You're going to take these two screws out. You're going to get something under here and pop this little black plastic piece out. Be very careful on this edge right here. It's very thin, but you're going to pull this black plastic piece off, and behind it there is a screw. You're going to take that screw out and you're going to slide this whole trim piece down. You'll have to work it around the door handle, and then behind that there's a screw holding the top part of this handle in, and you're going to take that screw out. Then you've got two screws in here. Once that's out, you can then pop the door panel out, and you're going to get like a door panel removal tool or a flat, putty knife type thing, and you're going to come in here and you're just going to kind of work it, and there's a series of little plastic clips in here that kind of hold it, and there's one about right here as well. So you're just going to kind of go along the edges, popping it out gently all the way around on these three sides. Once you've got that done, you can reach in here and unplug your power window switch. Reach in from behind, or you can wait to remove it until you pull the panel off. Just remember, you've got wires connected here. What you're going to do then is gently push up. You're going to pull out so that the clips and everything are away, and you're going to push up or pull up on the door panel, and it's kind of clipped in right along the window here, and that's going to come off. It'll pull out, and then there's two clips that hold it over here. All that's gonna it's gonna pull up and out, just up and out, and it'll come off. So it's pretty simple. Let's cut back to doing this. I'm gonna start off by showing you the finished product. I've got both door panels off the car. I've done one, and then I'll show you how I did it. But before I show you in detail, I'll give you an overview. So once you pop the ashtray out, you'll have, of course, a square or a rectangle hole, and so it's going to have to be trimmed out a little bit for the speaker. And then these speakers I already had. They're just cheapies I bought for another project years ago, another vehicle I no longer have, and so I just had them sitting on the shelf, so I'm using them, but they're probably not that great of speakers. So what we've done, we trimmed it out and trimmed a little off the top to make the speaker fit. Then we drilled our holes, and then we used the little clips that came with the speakers to hold them in. I can show you that. And then I put some contact cement around them just to make sure they hold in and they don't slip off. There's not a whole lot of material here in the door panel. Didn't want it breaking it out. And then I put a piece of cardstock over the contact paper just to give it the contact cement, something to stick to, is the only reason for that. But there is a metal clip in here that the screws are threaded into, and that's pretty much it. So I'll show you the cutting out process, and then we just drill the holes, put the clips on, and screw the speakers down. Pretty simple. Ignore my dogs if they start making some noise, but once you get your door panel off, I just brought it inside to work on it. I got it sitting on a dog kennel. That's my workbench, I guess. And the dogs are playing, so you're going to hear them playing. But there's a little, on the bottom side of it, there's a little push piece you can push in. And when you push in on it, just swivel the bottom out and then slip the top out. It's super easy to get off. And I mean, I have no use for an ashtray, especially, I mean, I don't smoke, and nobody's gonna smoke in my car, and the only people that ride in the back seat of my car are my kids. So if they're smoking, we've got a bigger problem than not having an ashtray. So, so you've got this hole here now. Now what I did is I took my speaker and I made a template. This is actually cardboard from the box of the speaker. It's from the other one. But basically what I did is I just took the speaker, I put it on a flat surface, put it down, and then I just kind of pushed all around, and what it did was make a little impression of this little ring here in the cardboard, and then I drew it out, and then I cut it out, and I drew a little circle around. I feel like it really needs to be a little bit larger, and so all I'm going to do there is I'm going to mark my hole, and then I'm going to actually cut the hole a little larger than we need. So what you're going to see me do is I'm going to peel this back. You can see this little spot that is kind of jutted out right here. So we're going to cut that even across here, and then I'm going to trace out our little semicircles on each side, and then we'll cut those out. I'm just going to use one of these, I call them snap blade knives. I don't know, whatever you call them. But we're going to use that and cut it out, and then we're going to have to trim the vinyl just a little bit. And then we'll line everything up, we'll drill our holes, and we'll be done. So I'm going to put it on time lapse. You're going to see me kind of measuring this thing, getting it all kind of centered and all that kind of stuff, and then tracing, and I'm going to trace it, and then I'm going to trace a line just outside of this, just slightly larger, that I'm going to use as my cut line. That's what we end up with, and I'm just going to let this contact cement dry. Like I said, that's not really doing anything. I just figured, I don't know. But those little clip things work pretty good for this, for installing in door panels. You know, they kind of stay in place. That's what I put the contact cement in, just so if I ever have to take the speaker out, which probably will end up upgrading these speakers. Like I said, these were left over from a project for another vehicle that I ended up not installing them in, that I no longer have that vehicle. So these were just sitting on the shelf. They've been sitting on the shelf probably 5 years, and I could just kind of looked at them, looked at my door panel. They looked like they were close size. 4x6 speakers are not the best quality speakers, or the best sound quality speakers. You know, a round speaker is better quality, or you're going to get better sound out of a round speaker than a oval. But like I said, any of y'all that have had a wagon, you know that the rear speakers, you know, are pretty much useless. Back in the very back, you can't hear them. So this is the driver, you know, daily driver for me. I don't care about, I just want to hear my music. I don't care, I'm not into super hi-fi, you know, high fidelity stuff. I just want sound, some kind of sound. and these will provide sound, and I think they'll look decent. The grills, the speaker grills, I'm not crazy about them. They don't look the best, and you know, I wish I had something that looked a little more retro and a little more stockish, but it is what it is. You know, we could maybe do that later, but I'm gonna let this set up. We're gonna go back out to the car, and I'm gonna show you how to route the speaker wire. Like I said, I just trimmed it out. I mean, it's not super critical. I probably did a better job trimming the other side than I did this one. Probably trimmed this one just a slight too much. I trimmed the other side to the size of my template, and it was too small, and I had to go back and trim a little off. So this time I marked my template and then draw another line, just freehanded another line larger than the template, and it was just slightly too big, but it's good enough. Let's go back up to the car. Okay, so to run our speaker wire, we're going to need access inside the B pillar, and what we're going to do is we're going to run in the same route that the power window wires and the door lock lines go. So if you just scoot your front seat forward and undo these two screws at the bottom, and that's going to give you access. Now this may be all we cover as far as running the speaker wire. I haven't decided yet. The rest of it, really, I'm going to just pull the carpet up, and any of y'all that had one of these cars know that pulling the carpet out of a Mercedes is about a 2-second process, because they're basically kind of like floor mats. And then I'm just going to run them up to the front and kind of tuck them in the center hump carpet and run into the center console, you know, behind the center console into the radio. So that's kind of the route I'm going to take. But first we got to take this B pillar off, and basically you just pull it off at the bottom. Well, that normally won't come off, but this one's probably busted, or, well, I guess it just slips on there, and then it just slides down. So it's got a little hook at the top that it kind of slips into, but really you don't have to undo the seat belt or anything like that. If you wanted to take this completely off, you would have to undo the seat belt, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to set it out of the way, and right here is where your lines are, and you can see they run behind this carpet. So we're going to have to kind of pull this away just a little bit so we can kind of get in behind here. You can run a stiff piece of wire down through here, and once you pull the carpet out, and use that and tape on your speaker wire and use it to run behind this carpet. But that gives us access into here. Right here, this little hole, you're not seeing what I'm seeing. Are you seeing what I'm seeing now? Nope. Still not. Man, y'all are not looking in the right place. Okay. Can you see now? Okay, yeah. So you're going to run up through here. You can even tuck it in this tie wrap. And then right here, you have access to this right here. And this is running into the door. So we're going to run, starting at the door, we're going to run through here, reach in here, push our speaker wire through into here. And then we're going to run out and run down here. I'll tuck it in this tie wrap, tuck it in there's a clip down here, tuck it behind that clip, and run it behind the bottom carpet and into the floor. And that's the route I'm going to take. It's going to be kind of cramped in here to show y'all, so I'm not going to show that. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So we'll show that, and then I may show you how I route it the rest of the way, but I wanted to at least show you how to get this panel off and the route I'm taking to get the speaker wire from the door to inside the car, basically. Alright, so what I did is I pulled this grommet back, whatever you want to call it, and that way I could get a straighter shot. I was trying to push through and it was just getting hung up in here. I took my speaker wire and I tied on a tie wrap to it, and then I started from the door panel and worked my way in or out and just poked through Like I said, it's just a tie wrap with the speaker wire taped to it, using this kind of like a fish tape to help guide it. It's just stiff. You know, you can't really push the speaker wire itself, but that allowed me to push into here. Once I got it through this grommet, I pushed it through the hole in the pillar here, and then just out here, just so I can pull as much wire as I need. I'm just gonna estimate how much I need and then cut it. And then I'm gonna actually route it inside the pillar here. I'll tuck it back in and run it down in here, not on the outside. It'll go on the inside. And it'll be tie wrapped to this so that it doesn't, you know, get in the way of the, you know, so it doesn't get in the way of anything. Okay, so what I did is I just ran it along here. You can see inside, I'll take a tie wrap and just tie wrap it over here. And then tie wrap it down here. And then I just left my little tie wrap on there, and I just pushed the tie wrap through and just felt it down here at the bottom and pulled it through. Like I said, I just pulled the carpet out. I'm gonna pull the front carpet out. I'm gonna do a similar thing to get it up through the radio, up on, just pushing it up under between the carpet and the center hump, and get it up in behind the radio. So I'm gonna take the front carpet out. This is just gonna run along the floor. There's no reason to tuck it in. The floor will hold it down tight. This is some decent quality speaker wire with a pretty good jacket on it. Should be no problem with it. And we will get it up to the front. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this, I'm gonna tie wrap this, put this back on. Well, I'll leave it loose. And then we'll go up front and take care of that up there. All right, easy peasy. I ran it under here, kind of where this vent goes, and then it's my radio. And then I ran over to here, and then I just started pushing it up here. Like I said, I pulled the radio out of the hole, and I just put my hand in here and felt, and the wire was there, and I pulled it through. Now, I gave myself quite a bit of excess. I'll just cut that off, and you know, better too much than too little. So I will cut that off to the appropriate amount, and we'll be done. And then I'll just set the floors back in it. Like I said, these floors just pull out. There's nothing to get them out, so easy to run them. And this will run just alongside that, so the mat's not even going to lay on it. It's just going to be, you know, protected right there in that little crevice. So works out pretty good. And then I'll just wire that in with the rear speakers. I'm gonna have to trim off my connectors here. Forget which one's rear, but whichever one's rear, I'll trim off and crimp new wires on. And I'm gonna pair the rear speakers with the rear. There's gonna be 4 speakers right on the rear channel. I mean, not ideal, but they're tiny little speakers. It'll be fine. So we're doing our test fit, and all is good except for right here. And what we're doing right here is this screw is hitting the door frame, the inside of the door frame. And so we can push this. There's that little push connector in there. We're going to snap that in place, snap everything else in place, and then what we're going to do is take a small little drill bit, one that's much smaller than the clip that's retaining our screw, because we don't want to drill it out to where our screw's not going to hold. We're going to go in here and we're going to drill a little pilot hole, and then we'll pull the door panel back off, and then we're going to drill a much larger hole so that the screw can just go through the door panel without hitting anything. Now, one thing I would like to say, this speaker is not very deep, but you really probably should test fit if your power windows work, test fit to make sure, you know, the speaker's not gonna be in the way of the power windows, basically. And on this one, they are not. So just keep that in mind as you're, you know, working on this, and make sure that you're good there. And that's what we've got. So now I can put this panel in. I'm going to put the panel in, then I'll screw that screw in after the panel's on. That hole is large enough to where it's not going to actually screw into the door. And that's what it looks like installed. It looks pretty nice. Like I said, I'm not crazy about these speaker grills. They are what they are, but you know, I don't know if you had some nicer speaker grills, nicer looking ones, and then you painted them to match the door panels. It might look pretty good. But yeah, forgot. I still got to put that on. But otherwise, this one's done. I'm going to show you some tips on the other side. Okay, so on this side, I'm going to show you a few little tips. First of all, test everything before you seal it all up. I've got the radio still out, and I want to just make sure all this works before I put it all back together. So check your left, right, you know, rear, you know, I'm talking about fader and balance. Check all that to make sure everything's right on the speakers, make sure everything's wired up correctly and it all works, then put it all together. So I'm going to have to do that same thing I did over there. Remove this screw and take a really small drill bit, drill through. What that's going to do, you don't even have to drill all the way through. You can just drill it enough to make a little mark. You can use a little punch or whatever as well, and then just drill a bigger hole. And that worked out well on the other side, so I'm going to do that same process over here. I use these little speaker terminals. These work really well. I can put a link in the description. I find it hard sometimes to find a little bitty one. If you just go buy spade connectors, normally you get some that are even bigger than these. And so I bought a little kit. Probably lasts me a lifetime. It's got like 100 of each, 3 sizes in it. And like I said, probably lasts me a lifetime, maybe even more than 100, maybe a couple hundred of each. But anyway, and it comes with these little covers. They work well too. So anyway, I'm going to put this on. One little tip, these little clips a lot of times come off onto the door panel, and they are a pain in the butt to try to get on here because the window seal is in the way. So I take these off of the door panel. I don't think they're really supposed to come off with the door panel, but I take them off the door panel. They just pull off, and then you just slip them up under the lip of the seal here and push them down right here where they're supposed to go. They go right here and right here, and that makes installing the door panel much easier. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You know, drill that hole, all this stuff, and get this buttoned up, and we'll be done. Forgot to show you real quick. That's what I'm talking about. So they're pushed into here. Just kind of get them up under that seal and push them down, and it's impossible pretty much without doing that. It is so much easier to have the clips on the door and slip it in. Yeah, do it that way. And this side's done. Now, one reason for putting, or my main reason for putting that contact cement on there was just to hold those clips in there. So my goal is, you know, if I ever need to change the speaker out, I don't have to take the door panel off. Those clips should stay in place, and it just give them a little more support, kind of tie them into the rest of the door panel instead of just on the little edge that they're on. So it's installed. Yeah, I know I need to clean this door panel up. It's easier to clean it with it on the car though. Anyway, that's it. Everything's wired in. I gotta put the carpet back in it. Of course, you know, just set them in, but I'm gonna vacuum them, do some stuff like that before I put them back. So they're gonna stay out for after this video. Anyway, that's it. I gotta slip the radio back in. Everything's tested out though. It works great, sounds great. If you're doing this in a 300D, you might just want to make sure that the speaker itself clears your seat. The 300D, the seat's a little wider than the TD, but if you got a 300D, I really don't see much of a need in doing this, because you can get a 6.5 inch speaker in the rear deck. I've found that that's adequate for good sound, and the problem on the 300 TD is you got a 4-inch speaker that's way back here versus the 300D. You can get a 6-inch speaker about right here. So that's the issue. Yes, I know I've got a bunch of junk back here. It's my working area. I'll put it that way. It's a nice little area to work. So as I've been working on this, that's where my tools and boxes and junk have been. So we're gonna do a little cleanup, get all that cleaned up, get the floors back in it after I vacuum them. So anyway, that's it. Pretty easy and definitely an improvement. Purist will probably give this a thumbs down, but this is my daily driver. I'm making it a comfort, not a comfort vehicle, but I'm making it to suit what I want, and these things are meant to be driven, so that's what's being done with this one. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.